Hey guys, thanks so much for joining me again. Today's topic I think is one that everybody can relate to. You know, as a medium, sometimes I really just take time to listen to my guides and plug in about certain topics that I'm really passionate about, and this one is one that I truly believe everybody can relate to, and it is sickness and disease. Why we experience it, where it comes from, and how we can help ourselves in it. So I'm going to take a few moments, listen to my guides, and just kind of plug in and channel and listen and see what they have to offer on this topic. Well, I think it's so interesting because there's such a massive gap here. Like energetically, I'm used to reading energy. So energetically, what's happening here is, of course, you know, there's a major gap, there's a major disconnect, and the disconnect is happening in the space of illness, sickness, and disease never manifested because of the lack of medicine, yet we chased that medicine for wellness. So I think it's really important to take a look at this because so many of us can relate to having, you know, health issues from one point in our lives to another. And some of these illnesses become massive and they tend to, you know, take over our lives. But I personally believe we're seeking health and wellness in all the wrong ways. We're taking medicines and things like that to nurture our well-being, when really that's the cause of the sickness. Now, we continue the sickness because we believe we need the medicine to make us better. So that's the cause. The effect is the sickness. It's perpetuated. So think about this for a moment. And again, I don't mean to sound insensitive on these topics because, you know, I too am affected by loved ones who have passed with some of the most major diseases that I'm going to discuss. But for example, like cancer. Cancer never manifested in somebody's body because of a lack of chemo. Yet we go into that belief that that's what we need. We plug in energetically that that's what we need to become whole again. And then that perpetuates the disease. That's where that becomes the cause. So we have now put ourselves in tunnel vision and closed off all other opportunities for alignment, wholeness, and healing. And we've fixed on a medicine to make us better, but energetically what we're really doing is nurturing the illness. You see, and again, I'm talking on the level of energy. Everything's energy, and then it manifests physically as a physical pain body. So it started somewhere spiritually, energetically, as an energy pain body, a contraction, and then it manifested. And then we keep it alive by becoming the cause in seeking the cure outside of ourselves. Medicine, you know, rituals, different things like that. When ultimately we have it here the whole time. And I can speak on this topic because I have personally healed myself from hypothyroidism and lupus. Both of those I was diagnosed, blood tested and diagnosed positive for both of those, but I did not accept it, I didn't identify with it, and I surely wasn't going to start treatment because I just wasn't going to align with the identity of a sick person. I'm not a sick person. Nobody is. But if we believe it, of course, and then we seek treatment for it, that becomes the cause. The effect is furthered sickness. So ultimately, it's much deeper than that. Where did the sickness start? Where did the illness or the disease manifest from? I have coached people out of a bedridden status, bedridden for 10 years with multiple sclerosis. Coached her in her thought process and her beliefs, her ability to receive, and now she's completely freely independent and forgets that she has MS. No symptoms. So that's when we have to really ask ourselves, what are we holding in our space that's creating dis-ease, stress, contraction, chaos in ourselves? When we can identify what that resistance is, what we're holding in our space, just as soon as we identify it, we dissolve it, we neutralize it. We come into the light with it. We come into harmony with it. It's a disease carried on by agreement, not by hereditary. We have summoned ourselves to an experience by belief, not by hereditary. I personally believe nothing is hereditary, nothing. But if you come into some sort of an agreement that because everybody else in your family has heart disease, you're bound to get it too. You're agreeing to that, you are attracting that. You are literally asking for it. So you have to be really aware, hyper aware and mindful of what you're agreeing to. It's like this phrase I've been hearing for weeks now, and I just have neglected to write it down, is the echoes of your ancestors course through your body. You know, their echoes just thunder through our bodies and the rivers beneath our skin because we allow it. We go into that agreement. We echo what our ancestors have experienced through an agreement. We agree to it, that was their experience, so it must be ours too. That is neglect of our own creative process. We've neglected to create our lives. We're now just reacting. Every time I went to take medicine for hypothyroidism, I kept hearing my guides say, this is why you're sick, this is why you're sick. If you take that, that's why you'll be sick. At the time I didn't understand the concept, I didn't get it conceptually, so I would take the medicine, then I would not. And of course, if some of you may know, thyroid medicine is not something you can just stop taking. You have to wean your body off of it. But there was this thing happening energetically, this stop mechanism, resistance. Every time I went to take that medicine, I couldn't do it. Every time I went to take it, I couldn't do it. And it was because I realized subconsciously that taking the medicine was accepting the illness and thereby perpetuating the illness. Belief that I needed the medicine to be well kept myself in the state of illness. And as I moved away from that and allowed myself to come into alignment, you know, I just personally visualized, I kept hearing, and I knew you were made perfect. You were made perfect. Belief of anything otherwise is open playground for anything otherwise to manifest. So I personally just began visualizing myself being completely aligned again. I knew I hated the symptoms I was having, so I visualized myself in the life of not having them, what it was like before I had these weird symptoms. And I accepted that. I knew that that was my truth, complete, whole, and well. And it's your truth too. It truly is. But if you have excuses as to why you're sick, if you have excuses as to why it's real for you, you will just continue to give it space and give it life. As people, as humans, we have this tendency to overthink and then, of course, plummet to worst case scenario right off the bat. If we have this weird symptom, we go into like, oh my gosh, you know, I have this terrible disease, when it's really just nothing. We have this tendency to go into worst case scenario. So being mindful of not only your thoughts and what you're thinking about, what you're allowing, accepting, and agreeing to in your life is huge. Also, you know, become aware and be able to take responsibility too, because I know a lot of people that have illnesses but are attached to an identity with that illness. And I'm going to use bipolar as an example. Again, I don't mean to be insensitive to these topics for those of you that may be having experiences with these diseases and illnesses, because I've been there too. But I've come into a knowing that I want to share with you that I know will help you. So for example, what I was saying is somebody attached to or even addicted to the identity that they've created through bipolar is like, well, you know, the example of like, oh, you know, inviting your friend to go to lunch or dinner or something, and they say, well, I can't today because I'm having a terrible bipolar day. It's just a bad bipolar day. And it's like they don't want to know themselves outside of that identity. So there's a level of acceptance that you have to take, a level of responsibility that you have to take first in order for the transmutation to begin to occur. So I hope this video helps you guys to become aware, to really dig deep in the space of your inner dialogue and listen to what you're agreeing to for yourself when it comes to your health. When it comes to the idea of hereditary, are you one of those that agrees to sickness? Have you built a reality around sickness? Have you built your identity around an illness? If you have, I invite you and I encourage you to truly begin to think freely, accept yourself now in health and wellness. I hope that this video truly teaches you a new way to think, a new way to be, because if you don't have your health, you don't have anything. We all know that our health is our wealth. And I truly hope that this video teaches you just a little bit about taking your own personal power back and declaring who you truly are and what you truly want when it comes to your health. Take care, guys, and as always, take care of each other. Thanks for watching.